I've been watching Dave Ramsey for years. I've been taking notes. Today, I'm done staying quiet. Every single day, somebody shows up on one of my comments and says the same thing. But Chris, Dave Ramsey says infinite banking concepts is a scam. And for a long time, I just let it go. Because I figured, you know what? Dave Ramsey actually helps people. He helps people get out of debt. He does a really good job of doing that for people who are just drowning, living paycheck to paycheck. But here's what I couldn't ignore. You see, every time Dave goes on air, he talks about whole life insurance.
Whole life crap in a bag. That's what it is. Don't sell whole life. Don't own whole life. Never buy cash value insurance, people. Now, I actually bought a whole life policy in my 20s, and then I had to learn the hard way that whole life insurance sucks. Whole life is a ripoff. Pisses me off. Infinite banking my butt.
I don't know why it's got to be every time. I watched it. I took the notes. I kept a file. And I didn't do this out of ego. I did it out of what I feel is responsibility. Because the people asking me about Dave Ramsey, they're real people making real financial decisions based on what he, Dave Ramsey, is telling them. And what I documented over years of watching is not a man with a different philosophy. It is legitimately a pattern. A pattern of statements delivered with total certainty to an audience of what I would think is millions of people that is mathematically and historically and legally not true. It's false. So today I'm gonna lay it all out, all of it, every one of my notes that I've got, because I've got the math, I've got the historical simulations of this, and I've got a document published by the federal government that proves Dave Ramsey looked his audience in the eye and said something he could not have believed was true. Can't even make this up. There are 3 specific lies that Dave is telling his followers. 3 lies that, whether he knows it or not, are designed to keep you trapped, keep you dependent, and keep you writing fee checks to his advisor network for the rest of your life. This is worth exposing. And we're gonna go over all 3 of these today. There are more, but let's just talk about the 3. So I want you to pay special attention to the 3rd one. That's the one that made me realize this isn't confusion from Dave. This is his choice. This is a choice. Let's start with the lie. This will literally leave you broke in retirement. Dave Ramsey tells his audience that they can safely withdraw 8% of the retirement savings every single year. And he says this with complete confidence.
Dude, if you want to pull out 6%, it's okay with me. I think you're going to be okay. If you want to pull out 10%, you're not going to destroy the portfolio.
You see, I found a call, and he was talking to a 72-year-old man, and the guy's name was Steve. Steve has millions of dollars sitting in a traditional IRA. His financial advisor, a licensed professional, told him to withdraw 4% per year. Dave laughed at that. And he tells Steve, if your money is in a good gross stock mutual fund, averaging 11 to 12%, I'm like, well, you can pull out 8% a year, that's $80,000, and you'll never run out of money. You'll never run out of money, and that's $80,000 a year. I mean, come on, that sounds incredible, right? But there's just one problem. You see, Dave is doing the math in a world that doesn't even exist. A world where the stock market would have to go up in a perfect straight line. That world has never existed. Not once in history, not once in the history of America's financial markets has that ever happened. Let me run Steve's actual numbers. Real market, real returns, real consequences, and I'm just gonna use an actual S&P 500 index and an S&P 500 data from 1970 to 1983. And during that period of time, do you know what the average annual return was for that 13-year stretch? 10.85%. Dave's average, Dave's math, Dave's world on paper, he's right. Years 1 through 4, the market was up. Steve's account actually grows to $984,000, even while he's taking out this $80,000 a year. Steve must be sleeping great. And he's telling his friends, Dave Ramsey is simply a genius. He believes it. He truly believes it. Then 1973 arrives. The market drops 17%. Steve still needs groceries. He's got payments. He needs all these things. So he pulls out $80,000 anyway. Then in 1974, the market is down another 29%. And Steve has to do the same thing. He takes out his $80,000 to live. Here's what nobody is talking about. When you pull money out of a falling portfolio, you are not just losing to the market, you are selling shares at the absolute worst possible price. And these shares, they're gone forever. It's called the drawdown effect. They will never compound back. It's also known as sequence of returns risk. That's another word that you might find. And it's one of the most well-documented risks in retirement planning. And Dave Ramsey, a man who calls himself a financial expert, has never once mentioned it to the people who are asking him for advice. Never. But let's jump back into it. By year 6, Steve's $1 million has collapsed to $469,000. But wait, then the market bounces back. A big year, up 31%. And here is where Dave's math completely self-destructs. A 31% gain on $469,000 does not make up for the 29% loss on $747,000. The math simply doesn't work. It has never worked and it will never ever work. By year 14, Steve's account hits 0. Now remember, Steve is a man who did everything that Dave told him to do. Steve saved $1 million and now he's completely broke in his 80s. Where did he go wrong? I mean, this isn't bad luck. This is not a market anomaly. This is what happens when you follow advice from someone who either doesn't understand the drawdown effect or the sequential risks that come along with what he's talking about, or understands it and chooses not to mention it. I'm gonna pretend that that's not what Dave Ramsey's doing, but either way, the people paying the price are the Steves of the world. Real people, real retirement accounts with real consequences. Now, think about this. If Dave's retirement math is that reckless, imagine what he gets wrong when he talks about life insurance. And that's gonna bring us to the next point. Dave Ramsey has one move when it comes to whole life insurance. One script. He has used it in hundreds of calls, word for word. And here's what he says.
If you die with whole life insurance, your beneficiary gets paid only the face amount after you've paid 20 times more for the policy.
He says it like it ends the argument. And I'm gonna give him this. For a basic off-the-shelf whole life insurance policy bought from a captive agent at a big box insurance company, I guess he's not entirely wrong. He's still wrong, but he's not entirely wrong. But here is what Dave either doesn't know and just won't learn, or doesn't want you to know about. Nobody doing the infinite banking concepts uses that type of policy. Nobody. I watched a call and the caller's name was Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Jim was a good guy.
Ramsey Show.
He bought a specifically designed whole life insurance policy, like the ones we designed, and he did this for his 1-year-old son. He is literally setting his kid up to be his own banker someday. But before the kid can even walk, this policy's in place, which means he's got a lot of time. Dave immediately attacks this guy.
100% of the time, by definition, you lose the cash value.
When you die, the insurance company keeps your cash value. Jim pushes back calmly and collectively, and he says, Dave, I don't lose the cash value. I reinvest the dividends into paid up additions. Dave snaps.
Dividend reinvestment is not cash value. That's buying extra insurance with your overpayment.
Dividend reinvestment is not cash value. It's buying paid up additions. He's right there. That is the moment you need to focus on because Dave just accidentally described how this works. He literally caught himself in his own line. Dave proved the point that the paid up additions increase the death benefit. So the cash value does indeed increase the death benefit. A standard whole life insurance policy has 2 components. They have the death benefit and they have the base cash value. This is on a basic policy. Dave's argument holds up. The cash value doesn't transfer to your family at death. Fine, you get the base death benefit. But when you are with a mutually owned company that pays dividends, which is most of the whole life companies, those dividends are redirected to what's called paid up additions. That's the default option. Something completely different happens. You see, a paid up addition is not just a number on a statement. It's kind of let me try to explain it like this. It's like a fully paid up mini whole life insurance policy stacked directly on top of your original policy. And that mini policy has 2 things inside of it. You get this, its own death benefit and its own cash value. Every year, you stack on another. And year after year, your total cash value is climbing. But this is also something that's happening. Your total death benefit is also climbing. They're climbing together, maybe not dollar for dollar, but simultaneously, they are both compounding for as long as the policy is in force. So when Jim's son eventually passes away, and I know that's hard to even think about, but it will happen for all of us, and it would be decades from now, his family doesn't just receive the original face value. They receive the base policy face value plus the compounding death benefit of every single paid up addition stacked on top over the kid's lifetime. The cash value didn't disappear. The cash value drove the death benefit up. Every dollar of growth Jim's son ever has accumulated inside that specially designed whole life shows up for his family on the day it matters most. Dave is arguing technicalities about a product that nobody in this space actually uses. And he's presenting it as a proof that the entire concept is broken. He even one day said that Prudential was a mutually owned company. I'm like, okay, this is where it gets wrong, but let's not digress. Dave is presenting this as if he has all the proof and that the entire concept, the infinite banking concept, is broken. It's not proof. It is a misdirect. I could still give Dave the benefit of the doubt on this one. Maybe he's just never went deep enough into a policy design to understand paid up additions. Maybe he only knows normal off-the-shelf whole life. Maybe nobody has ever sat him down and talked him through this. I could give him that. But what I cannot and will not give him is the third line. No version of this story where Dave Ramsey didn't know he was wrong. It just is almost impossible to believe. Same call. Back to Jim with his 1-year-old son. Jim is still on the line. And Jim says something simple, something true. He said, banks use this product. 4 words, completely accurate, publicly documented. You can Google BOLI and you will see it. Here's Dave's response.
Banks use this product to...
No, they do not. You've been watching too much TikTok. Banks do not use whole life. Not ever. Banks nowhere, no banks sell.
I would respectfully disagree with that.
No, they don't.
He said this to millions of people with zero hesitation. So I went to the FDIC website, and I urge all of you to do this as well. Just type in FDIC and you'll see the website. Now, once you're on the website, type in BOLI, B-O-L-I, stands for Bank-Owned Life Insurance. There's gonna be a document that you're gonna find. And this is a document published by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the agency that exists specifically to regulate commercial banks in the United States of America. Commercial banks are among the largest institutional purchasers of whole life insurance in the country. And it has a name, rightly so, called BOLI, Bank-Owned Life Insurance. And Dave said federal law prohibits it, yet federal law literally regulates how they do it. Those are not the same thing. Those are opposites, and Dave is wrong, straight, dead wrong. Now let me calm down a little bit. I want to tell you why banks do this, because this is the part that should make you really angry. And I don't mean angry at me, not even angry at Dave. You're probably already a little ticked at him. Angry at the system that has kept this from you. Dave's argument against policy loans is this. He said, you're borrowing your own money, so that's ridiculous, and paying interest on your own money. Here's what's actually happening. Within your policy, when you take a policy loan against a specifically and specially designed whole life insurance policy, your money never leaves the policy. It stays inside your policy's cash value and continues to compound uninterrupted. It continues to earn guaranteed interest plus dividends, and dividends are not guaranteed. And they do this, if designed properly, in a tax-free environment. So effectively, really what's happening is you're not borrowing your own money. You're using your money, your policy's cash value, as collateral to access the insurance company's general fund. Their general fund is a large fund, and your money keeps growing while you're doing this. The loan gets handled separately. See, 2 things are happening at the same time. Now let's compare that to what Dave Ramsey tells you to do. If you wanted to buy real estate, okay? And that's probably not a bad thing to think about. In Dave Ramsey's narrative, you would have to sell the mutual fund, the magic mutual fund Dave recommended. And then whatever gains or whatever compounding on that mutual fund stops. It stops dead. The money leaves and then it never comes back as growth. You made one move and you permanently interrupted decades of compounding interest, the opportunity to earn interest on that original amount, to make one purchase. And I'm not saying that purchase is bad, but with a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy, your money would have never stopped compounding. You would have borrowed the money out of the policy's cash value. You would have bought the real estate. The real estate would have then started to generate income or make money or whatever it does for you. And then your policy is still growing in the background, uninterrupted. There are two streams running simultaneously forever until the day you die. That is why the banks do this. This is why the Rockefellers did this. This is why all the wealthiest families in history have used this and used this exact strategy for well over 100 years. But yet Dave Ramsey stood in front of his audience and told them the federal law bans it. Man, you can't discount that one. When a federal law governs and explicitly permits it, that is not a misunderstanding. That is not a knowledge gap, Dave. That is a man who needed to be right more than he needed to tell the truth. That is a man who needs to literally look at himself in the mirror and get over his own self, get over his ego. We talked about 3 lies. Dave's retirement math is built on a fantasy. It's a fantasy version of market returns, leaving out the most important things, and it leaves people broke in their 80s. His cash value argument, built on a policy nobody in my space, the infinite banking space, uses. And then there's his federal regulations claim. This is the big one. And it is not an opinion. It's not an interpretation. It is factually, documentatively, and provably false. Why would a man who is genuinely, because he has, helped millions of people climb out of crippling debt, why does he keep saying things that aren't true? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Here's how I think about it. Picture a bird. A bird hits your window and it breaks its wing, and you watch this. It can't fly anymore. It can't survive on its own. And then Dave Ramsey swoops in to your window and he grabs the bird and he puts it in a cage. He feeds the bird. He nurtures the bird. He nurses the bird back to health, one baby step at a time. And one day, the wing is healed. The bird is strong, it's ready to fly, and Dave looks at the little bird and says, no, little birdie, you gotta stay in the cage. That cage is safe, little birdie. You're not gonna hurt your wing anymore. That cage is what I know. I think the moment the bird leaves the cage, it stops using his SmartVestor Pro advisors. It stops paying annual AUM fees that I'm sure Dave Ramsey benefits from. And it stops being a recurring revenue stream for the network Dave built his business on. You see, on June, which is 1 month from now, I've been in this industry for 23 years. Crazy to think about that. But 16 of those years I spent as a financial advisor, a fee-based financial advisor like Dave Ramsey talks about. I know exactly how this works from the inside. So if I were to build a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned company that pays dividends for the infinite banking concepts, I take 60 to 90% of my commissions and I erase it. I reduce my commissions by 60 to 90%. Because the policy has to be structured so your cash value grows faster, so you have high early cash value, the paycheck, the commission has to be reduced. That's just how it works. Most traditional advisors just won't do that. Dave's advisors definitely won't do that. They would never recommend whole life. So Dave teaches you that the cage is the only safe place to be. And his network charges you for the privilege of staying in the cage. I'm telling you, the cage door is open. It really is. So here's what I want you to do right now. If anything I showed you today made you curious, even remotely curious, if you want to see for yourself whether this is real, go to BYOBvault.com right now. Test drive the infinite banking concepts completely free with our software for 7 days. No commitment, no pressure, no sales, just the truth. Laid out for you so you can make your own decisions, so you can see the mathematics. The link is in the description, so you don't have to remember that. And listen, if you're still someone who has doubts, good. Doubt is healthy. Call us. Give us a call. And once you get us on the line, which you will, we don't have computers taking the calls. You're gonna talk to real people. You're gonna get real answers. You're gonna get the real mathematics, not some sales pitch, just a conversation. So I wanna say one more thing. And I wanna say this directly to Dave, not that he'll watch this, or to any advisor in his network watching this right now. Come sit at this desk. Bring your illustrations, bring your math, bring your data. Let's run the numbers and let's do it together. Let's do it on camera. Let's do it in front of millions of people. Your audience or mine or both. No editing, no spin, just the math. My door is always open and it always has been open. So at this point, drop a comment below. Like, where do you stand on everything we just talked about? Are you Team Dave? Or has something I showed you today changed your thinking, or at least, got you saying, oh, I wonder if this is the truth. This conversation matters, and your voice is part of it. So when you're done, click on this video right here on the screen. It's called The Secrets of the Rich, okay? I think you'll like it, and it's gonna pick up exactly where we left off in regards to the infinite banking concepts. Stop doing what the masses do. Start doing what the banks do. I'll see you on the next one.